What's going on, guys? This is episode number 10 of the Going for Two podcast with Jansen and Hunter. I am your host, Hunter Waldrop. This is my co host, Jansen Jefferson. Jansen, how we doing today, buddy?
We're doing great, man. This past week was great for college football. We got some more great college football this weekend. Got Thursday night football tonight that I'm looking forward to. Um,
Mhm.
but other than that, man, life's good.
I
Can't
think they
complain too
said
much.
after this weekend or after Sunday or something like that, it's like 27 straight days of football
Straight days of college. Yeah,
between college and NFL. So that's
I can't
always
wait.
that's prime time season, baby. So
And then we got MLB postseason. So,
that's when things really start to ramp up.
oh yeah,
Both of our teams got a bye in the first round.
yes,
Shout out
yes,
Mets fans
love
for blowing the division.
that. I don't know how you do that with a 10.5 game lead. God, but I'm not complaining.
We
Go
love the
Bravos.
Bravos. Yeah.
Go Bravos.
I
But
also have a soft spot in the heart for your Houston Astros as well after that visit this year. So,
yeah. Nah,
yeah.
man, they look good this year. We got a
Potential World
chance
Series
to.
rematch.
I
So,
mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it happens,
yeah,
but
I wouldn't either.
if it
Not at all.
happens, the Astros pulling it out this year.
TBD. I don't know. We'll
To
have
be
to see.
determined. Yeah.
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 But yeah, we got more college football to dive into. Week
Yes, we do.
5 review, week 6 preview. Man, it's hard to believe that after this week we're gonna be halfway through the
Halfway
season.
through. Yeah.
I mean, that's just crazy to think about.
It's
So,
gone by way too fast.
oh yeah,
Needs to slow down.
I mean, you're enjoying it when you're having fun covering it like we do, though. So I'm
Yes,
enjoying it, and that's for sure.
for sure.
Yeah, man, let's roll right on into
All
it, my
right,
brother.
let's jump into it. All right. If you haven't yet, make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Going for Two podcast with Jason and Hunter, and leave a like and comment for us. Tell us if we're dumb for taking certain teams. Like, tell me that I'm dumb for having Kentucky go 12-0. Tell Hunter he's dumb for having Miami in his playoff. But
You
just
know,
let us
give
know
us
how we
some
do
support
every
down
week.
there too.
What's up?
Give us some support down there too.
Yes, yes. Do give us support. Tell us if you like our plays and what you're writing this week along with
Yeah, yeah,
us, and if you're writing anything we are. So,
yes,
and
sir.
then follow us on Twitter at going_for2. We have been slacking on there, but Hunter and I do get on there every now and then, and we send out tweets that we talked about on the podcast on Saturdays and maybe even on Fridays. So give us a follow on Twitter as well.
That's right.
All right, well, let's jump into this week.
Let's do it, man.
All right.
Alrighty, so we for our game of the week this week. I mean, it was hard not to choose. I mean, we've been huge Kansas advocates on this show. Excuse me, and so we had to choose where game day was going. Right, Kansas versus TCU. Um, man, it's awesome seeing that Kansas of all teams. I mean, projected to go win 2-3 games, already 5-0. They've sold out their stadium for the third week in a row. The last time they did that was 2009. Last time they've had this good of a start was 2009 or 7. I mean, it's crazy. And
No, man, they're
TCU,
playing. They're
yeah,
playing absolutely insane. Like,
yeah,
I
they're
was not
playing good
expecting
ball.
Kansas to show up like this.
Yeah, and I mean, they deserve to be in the top 25. They should have
Absolutely.
been in it last week, in my opinion.
I think they should have too,
But
after
I'm
beating
just
Duke.
glad they're there now. And 19's actually a pretty solid spot for them, I'd say.
No, I think it
They're
is
very
too, for
deserving of
sure.
that. TCU though, kind of been under the radar, and I remember in our Big 12 preview, we said that TCU was going to be a team that was going to beat some teams that they weren't supposed to. We didn't think that they were going to shine like this under Sonny Dykes in year one, but hey, good for them. Max Duggan looks like a really good quarterback. For anybody that didn't know this, Max Duggan used to be on the Georgia roster as a freshman. He used to be on the QB depth chart for Georgia when he
I
was a
didn't even know
freshman.
that.
Yeah, he's
That is
thrown for almost 1,000 yards. He's like right at 997, so he'll pass that this weekend. But he was running the ball against Oklahoma. Oklahoma looked like they had a bunch of blind people playing DB last week. So I mean, but TCU, I thought they were going to hit 62 before Aaron Judge. Thank God we don't have to see any more Aaron Judge cut-ins. That's awesome.
Finally,
Um,
yes. Man, I can't stand because he's a freaking Yankee, and you know how the
yeah,
Astros and the Yankees are, man. Like,
yeah.
we hate each other.
Oh, yeah.
No.
So, but, uh, Yeah, I really thought TCU was going to hit 62. I think if they really wanted to, if Sonny Dykes felt like it, he would have put up about 100 on Oklahoma last week. We'll
Oklahoma
talk.
looked awful last
Yeah,
week.
we're going to talk more about the Sooners when we talk about the Red River Shootout this upcoming in a few slides. But TCU's been under the radar. They deserve to be ranked 17th. I think they do after their performance and the way they've been playing this year. I think they deserve to be favored by 7.5 right now. The line's kind of moved up. I think it started out at 6, but I think it's going to be a great game. The Max Duggan, Jalen Daniels matchup at quarterback is going to be good based off what we've seen from them so far. I don't think that Kansas is going to allow Max Duggan to run on them the way that Oklahoma did. I think they're going to play a little bit more contained. If their DBs can step up, there's no reason the Jayhawks can't be 6-0 after this week. But Sonny Dykes, man, that head coach, great hire from SMU for TCU this year. He's showing them what's up. Yeah. But same thing goes for TCU. I mean, if they play QB contain, I really don't know if Kansas is going to be able to put up enough points to beat TCU. But as far as covering and who I think is going to win the game, I am going to. Oh man, I don't want to choose against Kansas. I'm going to choose Kansas to cover a touchdown. I think just the environment and the hype and everything that's going on around them, and them being at home. I know it, and I think being at noon. Yeah, I don't really see an issue with that because it's Kansas.
Yeah.
I do think they'll cover 7 points, but as far as a true winner on the game, I just think TCU's more talented, and I think the time's going to catch up to Kansas. But I would not be surprised if the Jayhawks won. Not surprised at all.
I
So
wouldn't be surprised. I think Kansas just needs a little bit more time. I think not as in time, I mean like next year. I think that they may have the possibility to beat a team like TCU. I think TCU is too well rounded of a team and too talented in all positions for Kansas to beat them. I think Kansas is clicking on all cylinders, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did beat them. But I think TCU sneaks one out here, but if I had to pick somebody to cover, I'm going to pick Kansas to cover a touchdown. Probably just because they're in Kansas and everybody's going to pack the booth again, and that environment is going to be absolutely insane. But if TCU does what they did last week against Oklahoma, how they were clicking last week, then they could easily cover a touchdown against Kansas.
oh yeah, no doubt. But I think Kansas's defense is better than Oklahoma's defense, or at least they've shown that to me
They've
so
shown
far.
it, yeah.
But I mean, who hasn't been better than that Oklahoma defense these past 2 weeks specifically? So
Yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah, I'm really just looking forward to this game. It sucks, man. They're not even on like big noon
Prime time.
kickoff. They're not on
Mhm.
they're on FS1. That's like going to ESPN2 for Fox, and I don't understand. It could be on College Game Day, and then I know it
Well,
was made a week.
be on FS1. If College Game Day goes to your college for the game, I think you have to be on ESPN. I
Well, I
think they
think the
should make
whole
that a
thing
rule.
was it's like they had announced it a week prior to game day, knowing they were going to go there, but still, I don't
Yeah,
know who even. I think Big Noon kickoff might be Michigan, Indiana. I don't know.
why does Michigan get all these?
Because
Because
their
they're
brand
Michigan.
name. Yeah, just like why is Georgia and Auburn the 3:30 CBS kickoff, and Alabama is and A&M is the night game on CBS. Well, it's because you have the number one ranked team and number two ranked team, the brand name. So that's probably what plays a big role in it. But man, this is gonna be such an entertaining game. At least I hope it is.
I think it will be, but I mean TCU could beat the brakes off these guys. We don't
they
know.
they
They
could.
could.
Hey, Kansas could go in there and win too. So
Yeah, I
who
think
knows?
Kansas got a shot. I think it's gonna be a hard nosed football game
It's gonna be
for
one
sure.
between the trenches, as I like to say.
Yes, one between the trenches. I like that.
Yep.
But all right, let's jump into recap of week 5.
Oh yeah. All righty. So week 5 recap. We'll just touch up on some of these because I'm excited for some of the games this upcoming week, and we got to get to the beer deer pick.
The beer deer
So,
pick.
all righty. So first game we got Clemson and NC State. Man, DJ played good. When DJ plays good, Clemson wins, and I mean, it's like how are you supposed to pull them? I don't know.
I don't get it, bro. I don't
We're
get how
we're
he's
guilty
playing
as
so well.
we're guilty as charged. I mean, everybody was like, "Man, he won't last. He won't last." Well, he's winning more and more, and it's almost like Clemson deserves to be really talked about as a serious contender again. I'm
Yeah.
still not sold on them though.
I'm
I'm
not
really
sold on them
not.
either.
Just because they play in the ACC, man.
Yeah.
I'm week in and week out. I'm just not sold on them. And NC State, they look terrible. They look terrible. I
They
don't
look
know, man.
awful.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Absolutely
It was a
awful.
crazy game, but hey, I mean, I feel like the score does not reflect how bad Clemson beat them at
No.
all. But shout out Tigers and DJ and Coach Sweeney because
But one thing I want to talk about is like Clemson's defense has been allowing, like beginning of the year, you and I were talking about how we thought that they might be the number one defense
yeah,
in the nation. And I mean, you let, how many points did Wake put up on them? Like 40 something,
45, I believe, something
45.
like that. Yeah,
And then, I mean, NC State puts up 20. I mean, yeah, they are a top 10 team, and I do understand that. But I don't know if, I don't know, man. When you get all these vet backs like they have, I expect you to kind of have the season that Georgia, not exactly the season that Georgia had last year, but because that's unbeatable,
yeah,
but sort of kind of something like that, if you know what I mean.
similar. Yeah,
Similar, yes,
yeah, similar. I don't
very
know,
similar.
man. I mean, if they keep winning, they'll be fine. I feel like any team that plays Clemson is just fighting for a title, ACC title game shot. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how to feel about them, man. I want to see them play a really good offense, and I know we probably won't see them play a really good offense until they play Ohio State or Alabama in the playoff or something along those lines. So
yeah,
I don't know. We'll see.
yep.
But shout out Clemson for keeping on winning.
Keeping
All
on,
right.
keeping on.
Yep. Next game we had Wake Forest. They went on to Tallahassee to take on the Seminoles. I don't know. Sam Hartman, he's just
Balled
that
out.
dude. Sam Hartman's just that dude, man.
He is that
I
dude.
think he's by far the best quarterback in the ACC, and I don't know. I feel like he's on track to take a trip to New York for the Heisman ceremony, but I'm scared that him not playing in week one and having those extra yards against VMI or whoever they played in week one is going to come back to hurt them
Bite him.
or
Yeah,
whatnot. But I don't know. Florida State, they finally took that L that has been, I don't know. You could kind of
long
see it
awaited.
coming in the background. You could see it was going to come here
It was
soon.
in, they could see it in the rearview mirror. They knew it
Yep.
was coming.
So we'll see. Jordan Travis, that was probably the worst game I've seen him play at quarterback. And it's just like, I don't understand how you only put up 21 points on Wake Forest defense, man. They are god awful. There's a non-existent pass rush with the Demon Deacons, and I
Yeah,
mean, but hey, shout out Sam Hartman and the Deeks for getting another big
balling out
win.
and keeping the
I
ball
mean,
rolling.
I believe that they're in the opposite. No, I think they're yeah. I don't know. They're in the same division as
They're in the
Clemson.
same division as Clemson.
So I'm ready for the ACC to get rid of divisions next year. So we would be talking about Clemson and Wake Forest having a rematch. That would
Yeah,
be
I would like.
awesome.
I would
But
love to see that, but
instead,
we aren't going to see that this year.
I believe I don't even know. I know Georgia Tech's like third in the division after beating Pitt, which I'm still just in utter shock by. Like, my God, how the heck do the Nerds, after firing their coach, beat Pittsburgh at home? Gosh, that hurts me to say. Gosh, because I was really hoping they were just going to finish the year 1-11. Then they go on the road and get a ranked win. What the heck?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
don't.
don't know.
West Virginia couldn't
That
get it
coastal
done.
division's terrible. Oh, I know who's leading it. Duke and UNC are tied for first, and then Georgia Tech's third. What in the world, dude? Like, I don't
Bro,
care.
what if the
It's like the
ACC
top,
championship was Clemson and Duke?
it's like the top 5 ACC teams are all in the Atlantic, dude. I don't know though. Duke's kind of underrated. Look for them. I don't think that number's right this week. I know we're not talking about the Blue Devils for basketball, but I think they could easily go into Bobby Dodd Stadium and beat Georgia Tech by 3 points this week.
I
So that
think
was
they
one
could
of my
too, for
one
sure.
of my bets
I
because I
saw
think Duke's a good football team.
I saw you had that.
Yeah,
I saw you had that played, and I really did like that because yeah, after I don't know, I think this is what I'm gonna say about Georgia Tech is a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while. Bad teams get a win every once in a while.
that's
So
right. I don't know.
everybody's got to
I
win
just don't even
some.
feel like we're not going to talk about the game. The game was terrible.
Terrible.
Um, Anyways, we'll go on to the most exciting conference in all of college football right now, the Big 12.
Big 12.
Shout out Mike Gundy for absolutely going into Waco, Texas, and taking care of business.
Mike
Spencer
Gundy and the
Sanders,
boys
man.
got it done.
Spencer
They
Sanders
looked absolutely.
he looks great. He looks great, and it's just crazy because I remember watching him when he was a sophomore or a redshirt freshman. I think he was a sophomore. I was like, dude, this guy's not gonna last long. And looking at him now as a senior, dude looks legit. He could be another guy to possibly take a trip up to New York this year for the Heisman ceremony. Uh, I said this game was gonna be one between the trenches, and I think it was. I think the
I
11
think it
points
was too.
definitely between the big boys on the OK State offensive line. They're undefeated, still in the top 10. Baylor, I can't remember if they're even ranked anymore, man. I can't
I don't think
remember.
they are.
I don't think they are either, but they're not a bad team. They don't have like that star on their team. They're just very,
No, they
very
don't.
physical. And they
Yes.
do have a really good coaching staff. And they're gonna be like this conference is wide open. Like, I don't know. Has Baylor lost a conference game yet? I think their
This
only
is
loss was to BYU and then they
was
lost
the
to Oklahoma.
BYU, and now they lost to
So they
Oklahoma
still
State.
can easily make the Big 12 championship game.
Yeah, I
So
think they will. I think it'll be this
a
matchup
rematch,
right here again.
yeah. And hey, I'd be here for it because these teams I think are very evenly matched and both can be very solid. So,
I agree.
well, all right, another Big 12 game. Both these teams came off huge wins in Week 4. We had Kansas State. They went in Norman, Oklahoma, and beat
And
up on
mopped
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Yeah, and then Texas Tech had beaten Texas and Lubbock the week prior, and then me and you both said we had Kansas State winning this game and that we'd leaned for them to cover the 9, and well, that's exactly what they did. They covered
Covered the
right at
9.
9. So remember Colin Klein? Remember him from
Yeah,
2013? That quarterback
the quarterback.
when
Yeah.
Kansas State was ranked number 1. He's their OC.
No way.
Yeah,
I
he's
did
their
not know that.
OC. Yeah, so shout out Colin Klein.
Yeah,
Maybe you can,
shout out Colin Klein.
hey,
God,
I
I
think he
forgot
won.
about him.
Yeah, maybe you can win a Big 12 championship as a coordinator and a quarterback. Too bad y'all lost to Tulane though, so your playoff chances are out the window. Not that they were even gonna make it, because
No,
I think everybody. I don't know if there's gonna be a Big 12 team in the playoff because I think they're all
unless
just
it's
gonna beat
Oklahoma
each other.
State,
They're all just gonna beat each other unless it's okay. Yeah, Oklahoma State. So
which I think Oklahoma State has a damn good shot, but I think Clemson has to lose a game for them to get in.
I don't know whose resume is gonna be more impressive. So
Yeah,
we'll,
true.
we'll we'll see that here in about 6 weeks. But yeah, great game, Kansas State. You got to keep rolling. You cannot afford to slip up another game like you did against Tulane. So
Man, Kansas State looks absolutely like
we,
I
me
know
and
they played
you,
Texas Tech, but man, this, I watched Kansas State, Oklahoma, and they looked absolutely
Adrian Martinez looked legit. He had
amazing.
5 rushing touchdowns. I mean, he was letting that Oklahoma defense have it.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know, man. Me and you both had Kansas State finishing like third or fourth in the fourth or fifth, maybe. I can't remember. I think it might have been fifth in the Big 12.
yeah.
Um, because we knew that they had the potential to beat up on, or sneak a win in against Oklahoma, but they actually look like they can make a run. They look like they can.
I mean, they're getting hot
I
at
think they
like
have
the
like the
perfect time.
third or fourth best odds to win the Big 12 right now. It's like Oklahoma State, then Texas, and then I think K State. So, yep. All right. Well, now to the best conference in the land, LSU Auburn. Um, Gosh, it's like Auburn just likes to. Here you go. Here's a
Here's a
win.
win.
Let me put it on a silver platter for you real quick, because it looked like Auburn should have easily won this game, and we'll talk more about LSU in a second, because they're playing Tennessee this week, and we're definitely going to talk about that game. Um, I don't know, man. Auburn, Brian Harson's still their coach. He's still their coach,
I
which
don't get it, man. I don't know why he's
oh
still
my
there.
goodness,
That
excuse me.
and after this week, well, actually, no, we don't got to talk about that yet. But yeah, I don't know why Brian Harsin is still their head coach.
I know why. We'll talk about it later, and I have a very good theory behind it.
Okay,
But I don't have a lot to say on this game. It was kind of boring unless you're a big defense guy. LSU's offense is just scary, bad. Like as
scary
a well,
bad.
like it's not. they wake up too late, and I'm
JD
scared.
Daniels.
And we'll talk more about that later. He looked like he was a little beat up, so I hope he's recovering okay this week because I don't know if Garrett Nussmeier will be the one to be able to get it done against Tennessee, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Auburn, man, 5-7 is looking just more and more, or 5-8, I should say. Right? Yeah, 5-7 is looking just more and more realistic by the week. So, yep. All righty. A&M, Mississippi State, A&M. Yeah, I'll let you take care of this one since you wanted to talk so much trash to me last week because I said Mississippi State was going to cover 3 points. Go ahead.
Man, Mississippi State. Okay, it's not Mississippi State. It's Will Rogers State. Okay, this kid is absolutely playing the best ball out of I think any quarterback in college football right now.
Mike Leach.
I
It's Mike Leach, man. He calls all the plays.
I know, but still, like
Yeah.
Will Rogers is the one that's running it all.
No,
But
CJ Stroud, bro. Don't forget about him. He's
okay,
playing better. He's playing better ball than Will Rogers.
I don't know,
But,
man. I think Will Rogers deserves a trip to New York for sure.
well,
I
if he
think that
keeps playing
he
like he is, you can't underestimate the stats. That's for sure. If Mississippi State
exactly
keeps winning,
numbers
they
don't lie.
definitely will. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and A&M, Urban Meyer's sitting next to his phone. He's waiting for that call because you got to get Jimbo out of there. Because look, Jimbo hasn't done anything for you other than beat Bama on a hoax game. I was at that game. The reason they lost is because like you couldn't hear anything. My dad was standing 5 feet away from me, and I would turn to him, and I couldn't even hear anything he was saying. So imagine Bryce Young on the field trying to audible. He couldn't. So I think, like I said, it was a blind squirrel finding a nut. Okay, I think that game was A&M
are you
shouldn't have
are
won
you
that game.
you're referring the blind scroll finding note? You're referring to A&M beating Alabama last year.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. But man, I don't like A&M is other than beating Arkansas this year. I don't in Miami, but I mean you've seen how Miami's kind of gone downhill since then. But yeah, man, I don't. I like. I you were right. I didn't think it was gonna happen because I thought A&M was actually gonna start rolling after their past couple weeks. But man, they look pretty bad.
Yeah, man.
They look pretty
And
bad.
I also don't think the score, like, honestly indicates.
Shows how bad Mississippi State beat A&M.
Oh yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah,
I think Mississippi State just from start to finish looked more complete, looked better, and your defense can only do so much, man. And it was just like, especially against a Mike Leach offense like this.
yeah,
Man, Mississippi State, they've proven me wrong. I had them going 6-6. They look like they could possibly be 8-4 ish.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. They
Have a
looking
winning
good.
season.
Yeah. But I know I'm gonna go back to what you referred. You said Urban Meyer's waiting by his phone. I know that's probably the biggest name going around for anybody that wants Jimbo fired, which is essentially the entire fan base. But it's like, are you gonna really pay the man? What is it, $95 million buyout? You gonna pay that and then have to pay Urban Meyer however much money he wants? Because he's gonna be one of those guys where you go into a meeting, you say, "All right, Urban, here's a check. You write the number." I mean,
And
because
there's going to be a lot of zeros on that check.
yeah, exactly. So I really don't know if I don't think they're gonna get rid of Jimbo. I don't think they can afford it because they're already throwing out millions of dollars to all the players and the
This is
buyout, man. That's just how much money do they really have? That's the thing.
true. And this is my thing is like, I think you need to give Jimbo at max 3 more years. If he can't give you a season where you make the playoffs in 3 seasons, you fire him.
Yeah,
Because
I
at this
think
point, like,
you
at
have
this
to let
point,
that number one class that he just brought in develop.
yes, he has to lead that class. Yes, I
Yeah,
agree. I don't
because
think you
one,
can fire him this year. I don't think you can fire him next year. But the year after that, I think you could. But
yeah, I agree, and I think also I don't know if he's just too stubborn or what, but like he's got to get more elusive and pass heavy with the ball. He's so behind the times in play calling.
You know what he
There's
needs to go recruit
Jimbo.
a freaking quarterback is what he needs to
Well,
do.
doesn't he have a 5-star that he just brought in? But he can't.
Connor Wegman from Bridgeland, which I think he needs to play because if he plays now, he'll be good by his junior year and he'll have the experience and have the playing time and all the things that a quarterback needs in the SEC. And I mean, kid's athletic, kid can run, has a cannon for an arm. He's a hell of a playmaker, but I
The,
mean,
the only thing, man, that I'm gonna have to disagree with you. I really don't know if it's gonna help him because if Jimbo's still calling the same plays, how effective can that quarterback be?
sure,
So
you're
who
right.
knows? But A&M's no longer ranked. Mississippi State's 23rd, I believe now.
Yeah,
I
23rd.
think we have them up on the we do because they play Arkansas this upcoming week. So they'll be on the next slide as well. Man, Ole Miss, Kentucky. You had your dream season for the Wildcats is down the drain.
My
A
boy
lot of
Jackson Dart
people
ruined my dreams.
shout out Jackson Dart because they had a center injury and he was getting bad snaps all game, still making plays happen. I know that Ole Miss last year, lots of points, throwing the ball a lot. This year, they are pound heavy and they have a really, really dangerous running back duo, Zach Evans, and then I'm not even going to try to pronounce the other guy's name. I don't name the kids. It's just my job to try and pronounce them. And I'm going to stay away from that one. But he's good. I seen him score a few touchdowns last week. Now, a lot of people are saying that Kentucky should have easily won that game, which they should have. They should have because Will Levis not being clutch, fumbling the ball, didn't let his receiver get set. It was just a snowball and it all crashed at the end. And
Was a dumpster fire.
Lane Kiffin pulls out of Vaught Hemingway Stadium in Oxford, Mississippi with a win. And I believe the Rebs are ranked in the top 10 now. So, and they have a bye week this week, I believe. I'm not 100% certain on that. So,
No, I think they do have a bye this week. I didn't see him on the slate. But man,
go ahead, dive into your Kentuckies.
Kentucky, you embarrassed me. I was really high on y'all, and y'all were looking really good, and I thought y'all should have won this game. But Will Levis, she looked absolutely awful. I'm sorry if you're listening to this, which maybe you will one day, but
Probably not.
probably not, but maybe.
Maybe.
You gotta get your crap together, bro. I think if he played better and I don't know. I feel like if that whole Kentucky offense played better as a whole, I think they could have easily taken care of Ole Miss. But I mean, Jackson Dart looked like the greatest, not the greatest, a damn good playmaking quarterback. He looked like Anthony Richardson when Anthony Richardson played Utah. Is kind
It's a
of
good
how I want to say
comparison.
it.
It's a good comparison. Except he actually threw the ball in the end zone.
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson's still trying to catch up on that. Um, I
Doesn't,
always just
doesn't Anthony Richardson only have like 3 touchdown passes on the year?
but it took him till like week 4 against a broke Tennessee secondary. I just love
Yeah.
throwing shots at him. Um, Kentucky,
AR-15.
Kentucky. It kind of showed after you played terrible, like a one possession game against Northern Illinois, and like a one possession game until the fourth quarter against Doormat University in week 2 again before you played Florida. It was Miami of Ohio. Yeah, Doormat University. And and now it's showing that your offense is not as effective as people thought, and Will Levis might be a little overrated, like your boy's been saying. And everybody was like, "Man, the run game, the run game. When Chris Rodriguez comes back, they're gonna be tearing it up." No, no.
No.
When you miss 4 weeks and you're suspended because of DUI or whatever it was, you're not just going to be able to come back to an end game scenario and play
And ball out.
ball out. Exactly. Um, this week they go back home to Lexington. They host South Carolina, and they're only 6-point favorites. Would not be surprised if South Carolina got the win, but I'm definitely going to lean Kentucky for a bounce back spot.
I am too, for sure. For
Yep.
sure. I think Kentucky needs to bounce back this week. But moving on.
Moving on.
Arkansas.
Gosh, this one hurt. This one hurt.
Arkansas. Man. Big John, I know you're watching this. What happened to our pigs, man? What happened? I thought Arkansas for a while they looked like they were going to be able to sneak out a win. I thought once Bryce Young got hurt, I thought that was Arkansas's chance to capitalize, but man, Gibbs just absolutely tore up that defense. Like
That
Arkansas, your defense is so bad. Your secondary, there's nobody in your secondary to like you don't have a free safety up top on a run play when the guy's just running it down your throat, play after play after play after play. Like 3 straight possessions, it was like 1-2 drives, and then they hand the ball off to Gibbs, and he's gone. And it's like you think you'd learn, but apparently they didn't, and apparently they wanted to lose because once that happened the first time, I think they would have gone to the sideline, kind of came together and been like, okay, like we're gonna play a different defense this going out like this next drive and see what happens. But I mean, they didn't. They played the same BS the whole entire fourth quarter, and it was like, okay, you deserve to lose this game because your defense is playing like absolute garbage. But KJ Jefferson getting beat up in the fourth quarter, not playing most of the fourth quarter, I think that did hurt you as well because he is the power of him and Raheem whatchamacallit, Sanders are the power of your offense for sure. And when you have one of those guys missing, it takes a toll on your team. But Alabama, props to y'all. I mean, I hate Alabama, but I mean,
shout out Connor
y'all look
Smith
good.
in Alabama.
They look bad. They look bad up until halftime, but after halftime, they look pretty good.
Well, you asked how does Arkansas lose this game? I'll go ahead and tell you right now. They had 2 plays where if they would have made these 2 plays, the momentum would have been sealed, the game would have been over, and they never would have looked back and they would have won. No doubt in my mind. And those 2 plays were because this was like the best half quarter of football I've ever seen in my life in that third quarter.
Yeah.
That was I don't want to use profanity, but the set on Sam Pittman to onside kick that ball was just I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
loved it
The kicker
too.
just
And the
shotgun
fact that
down
they
there and
got
get
it
his own kick. Yeah. Shout
was
out to those guys that were set right next to the kicker who were just the Alabama guy was just waiting to come get the ball. Absolutely rocked them, and I loved
horn
it.
swallowed.
But
Like,
them not scoring on that drive, not getting in the end zone when they were all the way down at the goal line, them not scoring, or it was either I can't remember which one it was. Did they score on that one and then they didn't score on the mishandled snap on the punt? Whichever one it was. I know they scored on one and the other one they didn't score on. I can't remember off the top of my head.
they
But
scored on the
go ahead.
onside kick.
Okay, they scored on the
They
onside
scored on
kick.
the onside kick. Yeah.
Well, they didn't score on the muff punt that the Alabama center or long snapper and punter had, where they were down inside like the 5-yard line. They couldn't punch it in. If they would have been able to punch that one in, and then even if so then they settled for 3. And then the second play I was referring to is 3rd and 17, I believe it was, when Jalen Milroe dropped back to throw, and he scrambled all the way to like the 5-yard line. Those 2 plays, I think, just took all the momentum away, and it cost them the game.
I agree.
And shout out Jalen Milroe coming in and getting the win, but everything that Arkansas needed to happen to pull off the upset did, and they still couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Like the fumbled snap, getting the onside kick, Bryce Young getting hurt, it all came into play. It was all sitting right there for you, and you just couldn't capitalize on it. And a lot of people were high on Jahmyr Gibbs coming in. They were like, yeah, he can do it on the ground, in the air. And we've seen him do it, through the air as a receiver.
You saw him do it on the ground this week.
Especially against Texas. And then this week is where you're like, this kid's really good. This is the hype that we need to see. And that's what makes Alabama scary, because if he can do that week in and week out, dude, and they should be ranked number 1.
Unstoppable. Yeah, they should be. After the way Georgia played, absolutely.
We'll talk more about the Dogs in a second. Don't worry, I'll go on my rant here in a little bit. But, Saban's going to be Saban, man. Saban's going to be Saban. He's going to keep winning. And I don't care who starts at quarterback this week. We'll talk more about A&M Alabama later, but on the next slide. But Jahmyr Gibbs and then the defense stepping up when it mattered most, like on that goal line stand. And, I mean, the better team won the game. But Arkansas, that first half of that third quarter was the best quarter of football as far as just balls to the wall performing-wise. And
That's hard-nosed football.
yeah.
That quarter was hard-nosed football. Definition of it.
But, Bama's going to be Bama. So
Yeah, Bama is going to be Bama.
we'll talk more about Bama here in a little bit.
Let's jump into week 6, and then we can cover them here in a minute.
All right.
Man.
Week 6 preview. All right. So we already talked about Kansas versus TCU. That was the game we wanted to highlight a little bit just because two underappreciated teams. But another great slate of games, man. Another great slate.
Yes.
So we'll hop right into it with I think they're worse than the Pac-12. We'll go with the ACC. The worst conference, the worst Power 5 conference in all ball. Seminoles coming off a loss. NC State coming off a loss. Florida State, they just lost to Wake Forest. NC State just lost to Clemson. They go back home to Raleigh to take on the Seminoles. Still ranked in the top 15, which I think they just kind of deserve it. We'll see here after this game. We'll really find out if NC State's worth it. I really think this game could go either way. If Jordan Travis plays like he did against Wake Forest, NC State will easily win and cover the 3 points that they are favored by. But if NC State's offense plays like they did against Clemson, it's going to be a closer game.
Ugly. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the line, excuse me, all stuffed up. I think the line at 3 points is perfect. I think because this game I really think could go either way. One of these teams is due for a bounce back spot, and we've said it before. Whoever wants it more in the trenches is going to win. I don't know. I'm going to lean NC State, and I do think they can cover 3. I think they are the better, more rounded football team. And I've seen a Florida State team before. Whenever they lose, they die. Yeah, and I think they're going to make a bowl game. Don't get me wrong. I think they are a top 5 team in the ACC. I don't know, man. I don't have the same confidence in Jordan Travis and the Florida State offense week in and week out like I would for somebody that's shown it to me in a whole year, like Devin Leary and NC State.
I agree. So
I'm going to take the Wolfpack, and I guess you can lay the 3.
I mean, you covered that absolutely perfect. Like, I think Devin Leary is – I think it's perfect bounce back spot for NC State this week against a Florida State that just came off a loss. And I easily think NC State covers the 3 for sure. I think if Devin Leary plays the way he did against Wake, then they can get it done.
Yep, absolutely. I know we don't cover a lot of Pac-12 football on here that much, but this game is hard to pass on this week. It's a top 20 matchup. I know we haven't talked about Utah since week 1 against Florida, but they've been winning games. They've been winning games pretty convincingly, if you ask me, for what I've seen so far. And UCLA, they're 5-0. We haven't talked about them at all on this show because, I don't know. It's just like they've been playing kind of terrible against, like, I remember they only beat South Alabama by like a point or 2.
They didn't look terrible last week.
But last week on Friday Night Lights, they whooped up on your Huskies, buddy. I mean, just from start to finish. Well, after the first drive, I had to wake up early to go to the airport because I had to fly to Missouri. But after the first drive, when Washington scored on that like 4th and 10, I was like, oh, this game's going to be a blowout. I turned it off. I woke up the next morning. I was like, what happened? So then I get on the plane and they turn on ESPN.
What's that DTR, wide receiver for – he's basically a tight end. He's built like a tight end. But
I was going to say was DTR, the quarterback for UCLA, Man, he's like at least I know for a fact too, maybe 3 of the ESPN top 10 plays. I mean, this man literally juked 2 defenders into each other to make them tackle each other. He hurdled a man. Chip Kelly playing Chip Kelly ball with an elusive quarterback. Friday
I
Night Lights
mean,
at the Rose Bowl in front of like 2 people, but hey, who cares? The Bruins roll. But I man, I just Washington's pass rush is not as good as Utah's, in my opinion. And I know Anthony Richardson ran all over Utah. Um,
yeah,
but I think since then, Utah
has
knows that
cleaned it up.
nope. Yeah, I think they've cleaned it up. They know that nobody's really looking at them. Everybody's already called, they've thrown them out. They're not worth anything. They're playing with a chip on their shoulder and they're just playing under everybody's radar. And as I've seen, UCLA, whenever DTR gets pressured consistently and consistently, he makes bad decisions. He makes bad decisions. If you don't remember over the summer, for like a week or two span, Dylan Gabriel, the current quarterback at Oklahoma, his initial transfer from UCF was to UCLA. Like they were going to bench DTR. And
So he's
then
playing with a chip on his shoulder too.
Brent Venables got hired and he decided to go to Oklahoma. He like transferred twice, or I don't even know if he like was enrolled in classes at UCLA, but he was going to go there. So that shows how much confidence they really have in the guy. But he's super talented. I think he's definitely better as a runner than a passer. He's very athletic.
I think so too.
But I've seen too much inconsistency. I think it's a hangover spot for UCLA, and I think this is more of a Utah saying, "Oh, we're going to be on TV this week. All right, well, let us put our foot in the ground and get the win." I got the Utes going into Pasadena, California, taking a win, lay the 3.5.
Man, I think UCLA this past week against my Huskies looked. I couldn't watch it. I had to turn it off because it was just saddening to watch. It was depressing to watch because I mean, I think Washington is the better team, and sometimes the better team doesn't always win the game. And I forgot his name, but he's a wide receiver and he's built like a tight end and he plays for UCLA. Played absolutely. He went absolutely berserk. You think DTR went crazy? This he had like 3 receiving touchdowns and like he
Oh, well,
went absolutely
I didn't
nuts.
even watch UCLA take a snap because I mean the game came on at like what 11 o'clock, 10:30.
Yeah,
I had to
11
be up
your
at
time.
4:45 to fly out to Missouri the next morning. So after Washington scored on that first possession, I turned it off.
Yeah,
So
because you expect it to be a blowout because that's what
Washington's
Washington
been
does.
good.
But
Yeah.
man, they look like crap last week in UCLA. Props to y'all, man. Y'all looked amazing. DTR was clicking. That I forgot his name, but that wide receiver for their wide receiver was absolutely playing amazing too. But this week, I think that Utah, the better team, does win this week, and I do think Utah wins. But I'm not gonna take their -3.5 just because they're at UCLA.
Yep. You get all 200 fans involved in that stadium. Yeah. So
All
big
masked up, so it can't
big
be
home
too
field
loud.
advantage.
Big home
Big
field
home field
advantage when they're
advantage.
all
Yeah.
masked up.
Yeah. So I really don't think I don't think they're getting any points for being at home, but I don't know. I mean, I think if you're going to make any sort of argument is that they don't have to travel. It's not necessarily the environment and they have an extra day rest because they played on a Friday and they didn't play on Saturday. So those are 2 things in their favor. But
You're right.
I've seen DTR be too inconsistent. I've seen him make plays like that. Like I remember last year, USC and UCLA playing each other. He hurdled a man and got into the end zone. Like he's got so much talent.
He
I don't know.
does.
I'm not sold on the consistency. I'm gonna need to see it again before
He
I
has
go
crazy
over
athleticism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And that's what makes him such a good quarterback. But he
absolutely.
can't throw. He
Yep.
doesn't have an arm. But Texas, Oklahoma, man. This was my pick for the game of the week. This is the game that I thought we should circle and talk about more, but we're just going to talk about it now. But you can
Yeah.
start.
Well, I mean, how can you pass up on Kansas, man? Come on. No
No,
shame.
yeah, you're right. You're
But
right.
like,
But
let's be honest here. Would you rather have the game of the week be a ranked matchup or two lost teams in a non-ranked matchup?
you're right.
Come on
Good
now.
point. Good point.
Rumor has it Quinn Ewers is back. So I'm not even gonna waste time. We already said Oklahoma, their defense and their secondary and middle of the field especially looked like they went to the Helen Keller School for the Blind and Deaf. Texas, we've seen Xavier Worthy ball. We've seen Bijan Robinson ball. Oklahoma is worse. Is the worst in the entire FBS. 130th in rush yards allowed, rush yards per play, passing yards, and like 15 yards or longer. They're worst in everything, any defensive category, especially focusing on rushing. When you have the best back in the country coming into town, especially after what happened last year, Texas got to that huge lead, and then we all
And then
know
choked
Caleb
it
Williams
away.
came in and took the spotlight from Spencer Rattler. Came
The
in and
birth of Caleb Williams.
yep. So man, and if Quinn Ewers is back and he can play, like I'm not even saying he has to play as good as he did for the quarter and a few minutes he played in the second quarter against Alabama. If he plays anywhere close to that, they're going to run away with this game.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
and I don't think Dylan Gabriel's going to play in this game. What if? Hey, but shout out if General Booty plays.
General Booty.
Yes, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Yes, General
I'm here
Booty.
too.
That is the kid's legit name. He's the backup quarterback at OU. I don't know if he's second or third string though. I hope he's second string. I hope
I
he
hope he's
doesn't play.
second string because I would love for him to play.
Yeah, I would
Booty
too.
in the pocket.
Yeah. Booty
Booty
running
drops
out
back.
right.
Booty drops back.
That's so funny. But
That's so funny.
yeah, no, man. I just think Texas is gonna blow OU out of the water. The only thing to keep it close is maybe Brent Venables gets something to the OU defense this week. But I don't think Gabriel's going to play. I think Ewers is. We've seen the Oklahoma defense. We've seen the Texas offense even without Quinn Ewers and how good they can be. Texas had a very excuse me, a very convincing win over West Virginia this past week. Oklahoma with a very convincing loss to TCU. So I'm riding the hot hand. I'm riding the horns, and I'm going to lay the I actually got it at 7 because 2 hours ago the line jumped to 2.5
Jumped to
points.
2.5. Yeah.
So now it's 9.5, but I think Texas can win this game by 2 touchdowns.
So I'm gonna go both ways with this. I think that Texas does win this game, but I think Oklahoma covers 9.5. I don't think they lose by 10. I think Brent Venables gets this defense right because that's what Brent Venables is he's defense first kind of guy, kind of like Kirby Smart. Not as good as Kirby Smart because Kirby Smart's the second coming of God, but with Quinn Ewers back, I think Texas could either absolutely blow this team out of the water, or Brent Venables gets this team ready for Quinn Ewers just because he's back. And Oklahoma, I don't see Oklahoma winning this game at all, but I wouldn't be surprised if they cover the 10 or the
Yeah,
nine
me
and a
either.
half.
I wouldn't
For
be
sure.
surprised. It's a rivalry game. You never know what can happen.
Yeah. So I'm gonna take Texas money line, but I'm gonna take Oklahoma to cover.
I got you. Just to
Yeah.
backtrack real quick so I have it written down correctly. Did you have Utah winning and UCLA covering?
I had Utah winning. I didn't have any.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything about covering.
Okay.
I just got Utah money line.
Sounds good.
Yes,
Yeah, so
sir.
since we took Kansas, originally we weren't going to do the game of the week. We were just going to cover both. But I mean, it was hard not to center in on
Yeah,
my
totally.
Jayhawks.
Yeah.
But since we took them off, I had to put in a filler spot, and I guess this was the best available game on there. I don't even know if BYU's ranked anymore. If they are, I apologize for not having. I think they are in the 20s somewhere. I apologize for not having that up there, but I don't think it's going to matter. They played on Thursday night or Friday night of last week. Their quarterback got rocked against Utah State, and I don't know if he threw a ball past the line of scrimmage. He looked very shaky. Jared Hall is his name. I'm not convinced. I think they're wore down. I think Notre Dame's defense, we've seen how good they can be, especially against Ohio State. And I know that their offense is terrible, but they've had 2 really good wins against Cal. Well, I shouldn't say really good win. It was not a good win against Cal, but they did win. They did have a good win against UNC, though. Uh,
Yes, they did.
and they need those confidence builders. They're coming off a bye, I believe. Yes, I think they are coming off a bye.
Great. I think that's perfect spot. You win,
Yeah.
you get time to regroup, go back and look at everything that you did right, fix some things that you did wrong, and then get ready for a team like BYU at home.
No. This is neutral site.
Oh, it's
Notre
neutral
Dame is
site?
technically the home. Notre Dame's technically the home team. That's why I put them on the
Oh,
right.
okay. I
But
didn't know it
it's
was
just
neutral site.
no. You're good. You're good. It's actually getting played in Vegas at the Raiders Stadium. So
Sick. I didn't
yeah,
know that.
yeah. Who knows why? But I
Because
am
they
going to
probably
take.
expected BYU and Notre Dame to be really good this year when they put out the
I don't
location.
care, dude. They have college campuses and build stadiums for a reason.
Exactly. Like
Um,
this whole,
yeah,
like,
there's just no point in my opinion. But
just like
besides the
Texas
point,
and Oklahoma, it would be better if you played in
Norman or
Norman or Austin.
yeah,
Yeah.
just like Georgia, Florida. I think that game would be 10 times better if it was played in Athens or
Athens or
not Jacksonville, but Gainesville in the swamp.
Gainesville. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to take the Fighting Irish. I think they're building confidence. The defense is better. BYU's worn out. I'm not sold on Jarrett Hall, especially after getting banged up last week against Utah State. Notre Dame's coming off a bye. They're rested. They have confidence built up. I'm going to take the Fighting Irish in Vegas and lay the 3.5.
Me too. That's what I'm going to do as well. I think Notre Dame easily covers 3.5 for sure. But I mean, wouldn't surprise me if they don't.
Oh, no. I mean, I wouldn't be the least bit shocked. Least bit shocked. I did not mean to. I know that came out wrong. I just stuttered on my words.
That was fine. You're
Okay.
good though.
That's enough. So enough about those poverty independent teams. We're going to go to the real man's football. The SEC, the Razorbacks, man. Yeah,
You're
gosh.
getting beat again this week.
They're going to get beat again this week.
You're going to get beat again.
They were like the Cinderella darling the whole summer for like not just us, but for a lot of people. And the thing is that they do have the talent. It's just this schedule and playing in the SEC West, it's catching up to them, man, at the end of the day. And like next week, they're going on the road and playing in Provo at BYU. So like they're playing against very physical teams week in, week out. We already talked about how bad the secondary is. We talked about that when we were discussing the Alabama game. And if you have a terrible secondary and you're playing Mississippi State, good luck.
Good luck.
Just good luck. I'm taking the Bulldogs in Starkville. That place is going to be rocking. I mean, that's one of those underrated environments. The more that the Mississippi State Bulldogs win, the louder that place gets, the more confidence that place gets. And I'm taking them. The line's actually moved down. It's been back and forth. I think it was at 8.5, then it moved to 9.5. Now it's settling down in the middle at 9. I think Mississippi State has the potential to blow Arkansas out of the water.
I think so too.
Because now I would not be so confident in them covering 10 points if KJ Jefferson was playing for Arkansas. And the smart money right now, from everything that I've heard and read, because I really did have to read on this before, coming on here and choosing against the Hogs now. KJ Jefferson's probably not going to play. He's very unlikely. And even if he does, he's not going to be 100%. And I just think Mississippi State, they're going to keep growing on that confidence, man. I think they're going to win.
I think so too. I
and
think Mississippi State takes care of business, and I
And
think
we all knew that this 3-4 game stretch for Arkansas was going to be tough, but man, I hate seeing them that they're going to go 0 for 3 against Bama, A&M, and now Mississippi State. So you hate to see it, but
I hate to see it too.
I do
Go
got the
Pigs
fighting.
still.
I got the fighting Bigfoot Mike Leaches laying the 9 on the Bulldogs and Will Rogers. So
Did you see that interview of Mike Leach and that
yes.
one lady?
Yes, I did. They were talking
Tell him to
about.
give me
She
a
asked him
call.
about a wedding. She asked him about her wedding, and this man like went to depth. He's like, man, just go elope, and don't tell the family. I was like, dude, this is the kind of stuff you get asked after your game.
Yeah, like
He's so entertaining, though, man.
he is.
How can you not like Mike Leach? So,
But this is a great game. You take these two head coaches, man. I couldn't pick.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
I think Mississippi State covers the 9, like I was saying earlier, for sure.
Yeah, me as well.
Yeah. Auburn, Georgia. God. Here, I'm gonna let you go on your rampage about Georgia real quick because I know you got a lot to say about that.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm a. There's just it's like
You've
It's
got
just it's just frustrating. If I had one word to describe it, it's frustrating because you see
disappointing.
they
Like
have the
my
number.
like my parents used to tell me, I'm not mad at you. I'm disappointed in you.
Yes, exactly. It's like, I'm not mad, like, I'm really not. I'm just very, very frustrated, flustered, disappointed, all of it, because now they have that 2 next to their name. People are like, "Oh, it's not that big of a deal. They're still a playoff team." Yeah, but once you lose one spot and you keep playing like you are, you're gonna fall out of the top 4, okay?
Yeah.
Um, so my father gifted me with a very nice, present or whatever you want to call it, or an invitation to go fly to Columbia or St. Louis, Missouri, and go watch Georgia play Missouri. It's a place we've never been before, and we know it's far away. You don't get to just go do, travel to Missouri from Georgia. So I went. There's no telling how expensive that trip might have been for everything. I know the tickets were cheap because, well, Mizzou sucks. I'm not even going to try and hide it. Mizzou sucks, and we played down to their level. Okay, they suck. I'm not going to come up here and try and say, "Oh man, Missouri's a good team. They play in the SEC. It was a tough game." No, they suck. Okay, they should have they were that close against Auburn, dude. Okay, um, so we go up there. A lot of Georgia fans traveled, and we have to go watch the entire team just pull down their pants and go number 2 on the field. Okay, they looked terrible. They just played terrible. The only reason they won this game, I'm going to tell you, is because of the talent depth that they have. And like Missouri doesn't have that talent depth. They can't keep up with Georgia for 4 quarters, so that's why they pulled away. But until we scored the first touchdown to make it close. Like, I really thought, I was like, dude, we're about to lose to Missouri. I really just flew all the way out here to watch us lose to Missouri.
Hey man, I turned to my dad and I was like, Dad, watch. Georgia's gonna win this game and they're not even gonna score a touchdown. They're gonna win this game off of
Only
nothing but
field
field
goal.
goals.
Dude, and what's up with Mevis or Melvis, whatever that guy, that fat kicker from Missouri who weighs like 275 pounds, couldn't even make a 10-yarder to win the game against Auburn, goes out against Georgia, it's like 4 for 4 or 5 for 5, 2 50-plus yard field goals. What the heck, dude?
Shout out
Anyway,
shout out Barstool Big Cat for tweeting out, God, I hate this fat kicker.
yeah, because everybody thought Georgia was gonna, after playing a terrible game against Kent State, was gonna go out and blow out Missouri. I was
Regroup
one of
and
them. I really
blow out
thought Georgia
Missouri,
was
yeah.
gonna beat them by 5 or 6 touchdowns. I didn't think this game was gonna be close. When it came down to it, though, Georgia's playing down to their opponent. They are letting rat poison get all over them, especially the offensive line. That Missouri defensive line has no business even competing with that offensive line, and they wanted it more. It didn't help that Kendall Melton fumbled the ball. Like, if we would have scored on that second drive when he was running in the open field, just fumbles the ball, that didn't help. Uh, and
Man, what is the deal with Lad McConkey?
Lad got his heart broke or something. I
He
mean,
needs to stop going to the movie theater before he comes to the field to play. His
yeah,
buddy's got
he got his
Butterfingers
heart broke or
bad.
something. I don't know. He needs to like chill out the night before the games or something. I don't know what it is. He's playing bad. Everybody knows the ball's going to go to Brock Bowers, so it's not like you can just throw it to him every time. Darnell Washington stepped up when it mattered most. Stetson Bennett did throw for over 300 yards, but I don't know if he's had a touchdown pass since week 2 against South Carolina, so he hasn't had one in 2 weeks. He was playing inconsistent, but everybody's saying, you know, bench Stetson, bench Stetson. No, okay, no, I'm not here for that.
Absolutely not.
No, everybody that was saying that, just think about this. Bryce Young, bad game against Texas. Oh man, that's a huge win for Bryce Young, man. He didn't play good, man. Caleb Williams, bad game against Oregon State, man. Oregon State, they played Caleb Williams, man. Great game, great
It's
game.
because he's a walk-on.
You stepped up. Stetson Bennett has a bad game against Missouri. Oh man, is this the right guy for the job? Yes, it is. This man with a good defense, and everybody else's defense won the national championship last year. But that defense didn't throw the ball to A.D. Mitchell in the end zone.
No, he didn't.
That defense wasn't the one who forced a turnover in Alabama territory, came back and scored 2 touchdowns the following drive. That defense wasn't the one who made the check to throw the ball to Brock Bowers seal the game, right?
Yeah.
They didn't do it all. Like, he had a pivotal part in playing in this. He's a good quarterback. Nobody was saying this whenever he mopped the floor with Oregon and mopped the floor with South Carolina. Like, he's fine. He is the guy for the job. There's no doubt about it. Okay. So I just need to get all that off my chest.
No, you're good. I mean,
So
I
I just had to hit him with the
I'm
facts.
just sitting here listening to you being like, "You're right. You're right. You're
But
right. You're right. You're
I
right."
will
Because
say
like
this about the defense.
the
I'll say this about the defense real quick, and then I'll let you go. The defense, I don't think was playing that bad. I mean, yes, they were playing against, I guess, what we can call a good kicker now in Missouri, where not everybody's gonna make the 56 and 52-yard field goals week in and week out. They were holding them to a lot of field goals. They didn't really let up touchdowns. And I mean, Malachi Stark saved the game when Missouri broke that long run and brought them down inside the 2, and they only had to settle for a field goal. I mean, that changed the game, man. I
Yeah,
think
because
Missouri scores right
if they
there.
scored there, Missouri wins.
Yeah, no doubt. And
Yeah.
I do think they got it. We've seen it. I just don't want this to be inconsistency. And
No, I don't want it. Yeah.
I'm not going to sit up here and try and tell you that Georgia's going to cover 29.5 points against Auburn because I'm not confident in saying that. Would I be
I'm not
surprised
confident
if
either.
would I be surprised if they did it? Absolutely not. I've seen them blow out good teams or a good team this year at Oregon who is ranked like 12th. Okay, so every time Oregon wins, it makes Georgia look a little bit better. I've also seen Georgia play terrible like they did against Missouri.
Kent
And I
State,
think
Missouri. I don't know what their deal has been. They played great week 1, and
I
then
think I think
week
it was
1 and week 2, they played amazing.
yeah.
And then
I think the message to the team, all off season, they were into it. And then they turned on ESPN a little too soon and everybody was just Georgia this, Georgia this, Georgia this, and then it's all caught up to them. The offensive line has got to step up.
Kirby Smart
Now,
needs to drill in these guys' heads. I've seen pictures of like players at Georgia working out and wearing T-shirts that say "Nobody cares, work harder," meaning nobody cares that you just won a national championship. This
yeah,
is a new season. You still need to work hard. I think Kirby Smart needs to drill that into these guys' heads because they might let the publicity of their school get to them, like their national championship last year get to them. I know Alabama is a team that if they win one, they forget about it like they never won one, and then they're thirsty for another. They're hungry for another one. I think Georgia needs to have that mentality. We keep that mentality because if you don't keep that mentality, you're gonna get beat by some teams that you should not get beat by,
like Mississippi State here
like
in a few
Mississippi
weeks.
State or maybe even Auburn.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sit up here and tell you that Auburn's going to win this game.
No, I'm not either. I
Auburn
think
Auburn
Georgia
is a
flat out wins
dumpster
this
fire.
game for sure.
I mean, the definition of a dumpster fire is the Auburn Tigers.
Yes.
Dumpster fire. There and back to what I was going to say when we were covering the Auburn LSU game from last week. Though I think the reason why they didn't fire Harsin is because they know what's going to come to them this week, and they didn't want the interim head coach's first game to be against Georgia, which I
Okay,
respect.
that's your reasoning on why you
Yeah,
don't think Brian Hart. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
That's understandable
yeah.
because I mean, I think Georgia beats the brakes off these guys, but I doubt they cover 30.
I don't think they're going to cover 30, man. I really don't.
I don't.
But the thing is like they can easily go out there and win this game by 6 touchdowns and like not even think about it.
Absolutely.
But you just don't know what team's going to show up.
Yeah.
And for what I've seen the past 2 weeks, I think it'd be safe to say the late 29.5 with Auburn. This game's probably going to be up to 31.5 on Saturday. But I am going to pick Georgia to win. They should easily win this game.
I'm
I
picking
think
Georgia to
if
win
you
too. So I
stop
think
Tank Bigsby, Tank Bigsby, you're going to win. He's the only threat on that Auburn team I think that's worth anything. And if Stetson Bennett can play like he did against Oregon or play like he did against South Carolina, it's going to be good. If you can get the ball in Brock Bowers' hands, get it to him.
yes.
We don't have
Absolutely.
the thing that's stopping Georgia as far as passing game goes is now everybody's like, well, it's going to go to a tight end. Which one is it going to go to? And they don't have that number one wide receiver. They have a bunch of number twos. They have, McConkey, Marcus
Rosemary
Jack
Jack
Saint.
Saint. Yeah.
A.D. Mitchell's been hurt. He's the closest thing to a number one they got, but they don't have that
He's not healthy. Yeah.
star wide receiver right now. And I think if they could develop one, A.D. Mitchell has shown he can be, but Arian Smith, he's injured. Don Blaylock, he's finally back, but it's almost like they forgot what he could do as a true freshman. I wish they get the
Yeah.
ball in his hands a little bit more. I wish they get it in Rosemary Jack Saint's hands a little bit more, but it seems like it's almost too predictable what they're going to do.
Same.
But
Yeah.
I really think this is a good game for Georgia. Not that it's not a losable game because it definitely is, but I think it's a good game for Georgia to figure out. All right, on offense, this is what we need to be, and this is what we're going to do to win games. And I think this is a good team to do it against. So I'm going to pick the dogs. I'm not going to cover any more time on them because we are already over an hour and we got a few more things to get to.
Yeah, we got to wrap this up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm going to take the dogs to win the game, but I would lean towards Auburn covering 30 points.
Same here. I'm going to do the same as you.
Alrighty. Well, I'll cover it's like I don't want to cover the last game too fast, so I'll cover this one really fast. Bama's going to go into home or back into Bryant-Denny, and they're going to beat the absolute brakes off A&M. After all this beef I heard in the offseason between Saban and Jimbo,
Saban's going, yeah.
I don't care if Jalen Milroe starts. I don't care if they put Jahmyr Gibbs at Wildcat quarterback. They are liable to drop 56 on these bums and not think twice about it. And I think A&M, they're essentially done. They're done for. If this game was at A&M,
Maybe there's another shot.
I would say, maybe they have a little bit of an advantage, but no, I'm not going to waste time. I don't care if Bryce plays or not. Bama's going to go at home, and they're going to beat the brakes off A&M, and that's all I got to say.
You think they cover 24?
And they deserve. Let me just say, I need to eat my crow real quick. I know I've been talking a lot of smack and throwing shots here and there at Alabama. They're playing like the number one team in the country. They deserve to be the number one team in the country. And, if Georgia steps up, I'll be more excited about this game, in the future for the SEC championship. But as of right now, I think Bama would dismantle
us.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
But, yeah, that's me eating my crow. And that's all I'm going to say because there's still 6 weeks of ball left.
Yes, so. You're right. Anything can happen.
This was my runner-up for game of the week. If Kansas wasn't playing like Kansas and doing God-tier things, I would have chose Tennessee LSU to be the game of the week. This game's going to be electric, man. A lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, are not even really giving LSU a shot. And they're like, man, well, we would if it was prime time. Man, I don't care. I've been to Death Valley during a day game, man, when they played Georgia in 2018, the year before they won the national championship. It doesn't matter if it's 4 a.m. That place is going to be rowdy. That is the toughest place to play in college football. And I know that, like I said earlier, the LSU offense, they're very slow to start, very, very slow. But it's like almost in the second half, it's like they lean up and they just put their foot on the gas. But they can't do this against this Tennessee team. Because if they do this, Tennessee will already be up 21-0.
Yeah.
It's like I could see this game going either way. I think the line at 3 is either going to be spot on or it's going to be way off. I don't think this will be a 5 or 6 point game. It's either going to be a 1-possession game, like a 3-point game,
or a 3-possession,
or it's going to be a 4-possession game in Tennessee's favor.
Yeah.
Now, Tennessee's defense, especially their secondary, we talk about it all the time. Not very good. You let Florida's offense pass on you like the way you do, that's all I need to see. Pittsburgh, that was a close game in Pittsburgh. After what I saw Georgia Tech do, throwing a little bit more question marks at me about Tennessee. Now, Hendon Hooker, offense, Cedric Tillman is coming back. Obviously, no questions there. They are legit. But Jane Daniels, if he can, not limp in the second half of this game, and their defense is good. LSU's defense is really good. They are the best red zone defense in the SEC, but Tennessee's offense is the best red zone offense in the SEC. So this game is going to be tight, in my opinion. Since everybody's on Tennessee, this is what you would call your nuts on the table pick of the week. I'm taking LSU to win at home.
Wow. I knew you had LSU beating Tennessee, but man, I don't see it happening. I really do think that Tennessee and their smoky gray uniforms that they're going to be wearing this weekend that got leaked on Instagram this week. Not leaked, but posted on Instagram this week. I think that Tennessee gets the job done, but I wouldn't take -3. I'm just going to take their money line. I think I'm going to go against you here.
Play.
And I think Tennessee wins outright.
Yeah, this game is honestly, I think it's more of a coin flip than people are saying. A lot of people are giving LSU less of a chance every day that I come back and read and listen and see, what the line's doing. I think the line actually moved down in LSU's favor though. But I don't know, man. I'm going to give it to the Tigers. I think Brian Kelly, and I know, hey, I'm also sticking with my prediction. I did say Tennessee was going to start out undefeated LSU was going to have their loss to Florida State before the year started. I said Florida State or Auburn. I couldn't remember which one, but I knew that they were going to have one loss. And I said Tennessee's going to be riding on their high horse, and LSU and Brian Kelly were going to get a signature win, a much-needed win. So I'm sticking with that prediction. I really do think LSU can win this game.
I think
I
they
think
could too. I think it's like you said, it's a coin flip game.
it's just going to – the two factors that are going to play into this game the most, in my opinion, is how good is LSU's defense. It's just going to be whose defense plays better.
Yeah.
Because we know Tennessee's defense is very inconsistent, a lot of holes in the secondary. But we also know LSU's defense is pretty solid, lots of talent as far as recruiting and stars and all that goes. Can they hold up the Tennessee offense to just the right amount of points for their offense to sneak in a win? So I think defense is going to be the deciding factor in this game.
I think this will be that best SEC game of the week. For sure.
Oh, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. So, yeah. All right. Yeah. No, we covered those pretty fast. I like that.
Yeah, we did.
We were running a little bit over time than I thought. All right. Going for 2 pod of the week. We went 1 for 4 last week. Not our best outing. The one time we put it on the show. I like how the other times we either miss by 1 leg or it hits the first 4 weeks of the show. And then last week he goes 1 for 3. So there goes our credibility. But we're back at it again. We're going back to 2 teams that, they just don't miss. And that's the UTSA Roadrunners. They cover the spread. They're only favored by a touchdown. They're favored by a touchdown against Western Kentucky. Give me the Roadrunners. James Madison is undefeated on the year and undefeated against the spread. They're playing Butch Jones and the Arkansas State Red Wolves. But I'm going to take James Madison to win by 11. Arkansas State has lost some questionable games, but Arkansas State's also 5-0 against the spread this year. Just a little fun fact. I did my research last week before.
You did do your research.
Yeah. But I do think James Madison's just going to keep building on that momentum. Man, I wish they were eligible to play in the Sun Belt Championship. That'd be awesome. And then we also have USC minus 12.5. They've been essentially covering machines. I think the only one they didn't cover was that Oregon State game, and that was just by a little bit. I think they can beat Wazoo at home by 2 touchdowns, most definitely. I've seen Wazoo play against Oregon at home, and they lost that game by, well, it should have been like 11 points, but I think it ended up being 4 or whatever. I think USC is better than Oregon. I think they can win by 2 touchdowns at home. And then I didn't touch on it, but Michigan plays Indiana. I think it's in Bloomington, Indiana, but I don't care. Indiana sucks. They lost to Nebraska last week, and if J.J. McCarthy plays anywhere remotely close to like a quarterback with arms and legs, I think Michigan can cover more than 3 touchdowns. So
I'm going to be honest. Blake Corum runs that team.
Oh, yeah, Blake Corum,
for
too.
sure.
I told you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Blake
that
Corum
kid is absolutely
he is that dude. Yeah.
crazy.
And I will say, I did not know this because I just like didn't even pay attention to it. But last week we had Minnesota as our top leg. They didn't even play with Muhammad Ibrahim, who was leading the Big Ten in rushing yards. And like there was like no announcement until right before the game. And I was just like, well, that changes my I was not that confident for them to cover 10 points against Purdue. It didn't help. They got in the red zone 3 times and threw 3 picks. So they could have easily covered, but it does not matter. That thing got washed night 1 when Washington lost to UCLA. So, but
sorry guys.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's all good, man. Hey, you know what? That's why it's called a gamble for a reason because
yeah, you're right.
You're not guaranteed to win nothing. I almost slipped up right there. Going for 2 parlay of the week: Michigan minus 21.5, UTSA minus 6.5, James Madison minus 10.5, and USC minus 12.5. Risk $10 to win $89.50.
I like it.
I do as well. So
I like it.
Hopefully this week we do better. So,
well, let's get into my favorite segment of the podcast. The Beer Deer pick. Man, he let us down last week.
You know what? Like, is it really a letdown? Like, he's for the troops, man. He put his money on the troops. So, like, how can you really be upset about that?
True.
But, yeah, he is 0-1. He's off to a rough start. He's off to, I just hope this doesn't turn to, a Scott Frost Nebraska team. But All right. Well,
All
you
right,
did
man.
leave some sticky notes for me up there, so let's go see what the message is.
Let's see what he got.
Wow. The first thing he wrote is beer never broke my heart. Oh, I gotta flip my camera around. Hang on.
No,
I
it's
forgot
right.
about
You're good. You're good. You're good.
Oh, okay. We're good?
Yeah,
Okay.
you're good.
It says beer never broke my heart. Hashtag Luke Combs.
Can I guess?
And the pick. So yeah,
Is
take a guess.
it's gonna be something with App State?
It is. It is
It's gonna be
indeed.
App State money line.
But remember, the beer deer pick is not necessarily like a legit thing where it's something on a serious game. So it's something a little bit more funny. It's not just App State. It's the App State first half minus 10.5.
Book
Lock
it
it in. They play
right now.
Texas State. They play Texas State, and apparently Texas State is garbage.
Yeah,
They almost
Texas State
they
is garbage.
yeah. Apparently they play really slow too.
The
So
Bobcats
the
are
Beer Deer
absolutely
is
terrible.
going with App State the first half minus 10.5 points.
I
Lock
like
it
it.
in. I like it as well.
Hey,
So
he's not gonna be like Scott Frost because this one he's
this
gonna win
one's
this week.
in.
He's
Yeah.
gonna win this week.
And I like how he put beer never broke my heart. No
I do
crap,
too.
buddy. You're a beer deer. Shout out Luke Combs though.
pretty
Best
good.
country artist out there right now. Not a hot take.
Wearing his hat.
Oh yeah, I guess so. Not really. But
No?
yeah, kinda.
Yeah.
He did wear it at the concert I went to in July. I purchased it while he was on stage.
You were like, that's a good looking
I was
hat. I
like,
think I'm
man, I
gonna give
gotta
me
get me
one.
one of those. Yeah, for
I think I'm
sure.
gonna give me one.
Yeah,
All
for
right, buddy.
sure. Well, that will do it for episode number 10 of the Going for Two podcast.
Double digits.
Just under. Yeah, I know we've made double digits.
We made
Man, it's
double
gone by
digits,
so
man.
fast, but I'm enjoying every second talking
Double
on here,
digits
man.
in a new setup. Like,
Yeah, I know. New setup for Jance.
yeah.
Just under an hour and 20 minutes. Yep, we did a quick game of the week, Kansas versus TCU. We talked about some week 6 games. We also reviewed week 5 in the process. And then we gave out the beer deer pick of the week as always. Fun little segment to do. We're gonna have a little extra fun with it here in a few weeks. So yeah, I know you and I've been talking, brainstorming a little bit.
Yes, we have.
So thank you guys for giving us a listen. As
Yes,
always, don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Give us a like.
Give us a like.
Hit the bell next to us so you know. Hey, my dad called me out. I always send him the link whenever I'm done with the video, and he was like, "Don't worry, Hunter. I hit the bell next to the subscribe
He's
button,
got the
so I
noties
I
on.
get notified every time y'all post. So be like Big John. Hit the bell so you
Hit the
know every
bell,
time we
man.
post. Leave us a comment. Good, bad, anything to improve our show. We greatly appreciate it. Thank y'all for everything. This is Going for Two podcast. God first, God bless. Thank y'all.
Awesome. Thank y'all.